Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens, and obviously know that Hollywood is in a very bad state, right? A lot of productions are fleeing because of the high cost of California and, of course, the destitute areas and the way things have been treated and the way the cities have been allowed to turn into just absolute dystopian insanity. And it's one of them situations where a lot of people are looking to see where maybe the next Hollywood could end up being. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff going on in Georgia because of the massive amount of credits and stuff like that they give over there. Obviously, Louisiana, a few other hot spots around the country have always been big places. New York just passed a giant bill over there to try to encourage productions to come back. Well, one of the places that I would imagine has some of the least amount of restrictions in the country and is now deciding to push for hopefully to be the new home for Hollywood, but in a slightly different form with a few more traditional values out there. And boys and girls, as is always going, if what you incentivize, you will get more of. The carrot works far better than the stick. And trust me, Hollywood's been getting the stick for a very long time. Don't believe me? Look at the tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars they have lost over the last few years on failed productions that represent some kind of new spirit of the age morality that does not sit well with the majority of audiences in Western civilization out there. They have lost hundreds of billions of dollars, and we know a lot of these companies are trying to change their tune. And of course, family values and even religious movies are making a comeback. Don't believe me? Look at the success of Angel Studios. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, my wonderful home state here of Texas, well, the one I moved to and the one I claim home for now. Ladies and gentlemen, Texas Film Incentive Bill moves forward with $1.5 billion investment. Positions state as the conservative Hollywood alternative. And that is just absolutely glorious. $1.5 billion investment in trying to get Hollywood out of the cesspit that is California. This also includes a lot of requirements for specifically hiring certain amounts of Texas employees, Texas residents specifically for these productions. And I don't think anything could have a better influence on Hollywood and the way they operate than having a bunch of Texans employed over there and helping influence and create these massive productions. So needless to say, boys and girls, this could be a very exciting time for the future. Hopefully there's some very smart people inside of Hollywood that see the abysmal path that they have been walking down does not work and decides to take advantage of the giant olive branch that Texas is currently holding out to the at least still reasonable and sensible folks out there in Hollywood. So we're going to check this article. We're going to get into all of the juicy details of exactly what some of these requirements are and is why, of course, why Texas is pushing for this kind of thing as well. And of course, some very famous actors who are highly involved in making this happen as well. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. We're getting inching our way closer and closer to 2K, so if you haven't already, please make sure you smash that subscribe button. It won't cost you a thing. Also, let us know what you think about this in the comment section down below. Do you think Texas could be the new Hollywood? Do you think it might be a better version of it with some of these requirements that are coming with all of these benefits and the amount of money that Texans are willing to put up there to make sure you bring those job opportunities here to the Lone Star State? Or do you think the seething absolute diatribe and disdain for all things family values and traditional that Texas represents is going to keep all of Hollywood from even taking advantage of over $1 billion incentives? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if I can support the channel, please check out the links in the description down below. Think about becoming a member. You get your name at the end credits of every single one of these videos. Get access to a bunch of cool emojis for our live streams. And of course, come join us for our member streams once a month where you get to hang out with me and a bunch of other nerds where we chit chat about a bunch of nerdy stuff. So please consider thinking about that in the comments down below. All right, from that Park Place on our dear sweet Marvin Montanaro. A Texas film incentive bill just moved one step closer to reality, one step closer to making Texas a conservative Hollywood alternative. The Texas House of Representatives voted 114 to 26 on Monday to approve Senate Bill 22, a sweeping measure that allocates $300 million in film and television production incentives every other year for the decade. Now, considering the fact that you might already be a subscriber to my channel, you'll know that $300 million doesn't sound a whole lot when it comes to big, crazy crazy budget productions like Marvel and stuff like that. But $300 million? How many smaller budget indie movies out there could use a giant chunk of that to make their dreams come true out there? We could see a renaissance of independent movies happen in Texas. And guess what? With $300 million, that's still but we don't know how much money they spend, they'll still get a good chunk of their budget up to a certain amount returned back to them just for filming in here. So it might cost $300 million, but with a Texas kind of thing, it could only maybe cost them $250 or $200 million. Needless to say, it's a good kind of incentive, and it's certainly better than what they're getting in a lot of other places out there as well. So if fully funded, the program would represent $1.5 billion in investment aimed at attracting film, because they're going to do $300 million every other year for the next 10 years, which obviously, if this actually ends up going well, the Congress could end up increasing this at any time. So this is the cool part. Investment aimed at attracting film, television, and multimedia projects, i.e., I don't know, video games, boys and girls. Wouldn't that be cool to see like video game houses start establishing themselves in Texas? That would be pretty cool. With the goal of creating local jobs, expanding economic activity, and positioning the state as a competitive alternative to other major production hubs like Georgia and California. Excuse me for just a second. Oh, sorry about that, boys and girls. This bill also includes bonus incentives for films projects that promote family values, are faith-based, or highlight Texas heritage. I'd imagine Angel Studios is just drooling at this thing because the majority of their stuff they do falls under all of that. Supporters of the legislation, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, which means it won't have any problems getting through the Senate because the Lieutenant Governor runs the Senate, have framed the programs as opportunity to promote Texas values and offer an alternative to traditional Hollywood productions. Wouldn't that be nice, boys and girls? The bill now returns to the Senate for final review of House amendments. If accepted, it will head to Governor Greg Abbott's desk for signature. SB 22 was designated a top priority by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick earlier this session. So needless to say, this is going to pass, boys and girls. The Texas Film Incentive Bill offers a percentage-based grants to qualifying productions based on the amount of money spent in Texas. $250,000 to $1 million, you get 5% grant. $1.5 million, you get a 10% grant. Over $1.5 million, you get a 25% grant. So if you spend over $1.5 million, which most mainstream productions spend way more than that, you're going to get a quarter of your bill knocked off. We're going to cover a quarter of that for you. That's a lot of money. I mean, hell, Godzilla -1 was done for what? $10-15 million total? Imagine those guys having 25% of that cut off of their budget. They already made like $1 billion. Like, holy cow. That's insane. That's absolutely insane. That's a good chunk of change. How would you like to get 25% off of any bill you had to pay? Additional bonus incentives of 2.5% to 5% are available for projects that meet certain criteria. Shooting in rural communities, highlighting Texas historical heritage, means we're going to see a lot more of the Alamo. Employing Texas veterans, which as a veteran, I absolutely love that. Collaborating with local college students, promoting family values or faith-based themes. Using Texas-based post-production services and filming at recognized historical sites. To be eligible, production must be approved by Texas Music, Film, Television, and Multimedia Office under the governor's office. So that means somebody will be looking at this. They're not going to be passing the money out willy-nilly. Starting September 1st, projects must employ at least 35% Texas residents, and that threshold increasing 5% every 2 years, which means eventually we'll get to where they have to have half the production as Texas residents. And at that point, you might as well just hire almost everybody locally at that point. Certain content is explicitly disqualified from receiving funds. These include lewd content, political ads, religious services, news programs, award shows, and casino-style video games. So none of the gambling stuff can be produced here in Texas. I really wish they'd passed the gambling stuff already, but hey, that's for a whole different video. The bill also requires projects to portray Texas and Texans in a positive light, a provision that has drawn both support and criticism. Yeah, we're not Texans, aren't going to give you their hard-earned tax dollars if you're going to bash us in your movies. I know, strange concept. Maybe you shouldn't bash the people giving you money, like your audience or like your fan base or anybody else that's ever given you $1 for anything. Yeah, I know, strange concept. Representative Todd Hunter, that's my boy, introduced SB 2022 in the House, calling it Make Texas Film Industry Great Again, a bill during floor debate. The measure is support from Lieutenant Governor Patrick, who said the goal is to export Texas faith and family values to the rest of America and the world. I know. Strange concept. What a horrible thing to happen. Instead of having California values go out into the world, we'll have Texas values go out into the world. That can't possibly be any worse than what we've been getting, can it? Advocacy groups for the media Texas praised the bill, while Representatives Chase Musselway saying the funding would help Texas make a national leader in film production, yada, yada, yada. Famed Texas actors Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson appeared before a House committee in April to back the companion bill, HB 4568. Hollywood does not have a trademark on telling good stories, McConaughey said. No patent on that, so why don't we have Texas, our Texas, and tell some ourselves? Amen to that. So, of course, you're getting criticism from people inside the GOP where they're like, we shouldn't be using money to fund the entertainment industry. They're just a bunch of degenerates and yada, 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 yada. Why is it they live in a bubble? Why is it that they don't think that there are any other opinions in the world? Because they do everything in California. Maybe if they were forced to do things in Texas, they'd realize that not everybody around them thinks identically to them. I know, strange concept. But instead of incentivizing good behavior, let's just go ahead and let them die out. Screw them. Why? So they continue to be the only production hub to indoctrinate your children with all kinds of evil things out there? I don't know. It's almost a strange concept to think using the carrot works a little bit better than the stick, because we've been using the stick on Hollywood for the last 10 years. Don't believe me? Look at their box office returns. Disney Marvel ain't made a profit since Endgame. That means they've been doing nothing but losing money. So yeah, we've already been doing the stick. Maybe, just maybe, it's time to try a little carrot. But hey, what does this silly, crazy, common nerd know, right? And of course, there was a Democrat complaining about, it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to end up being used. Who decides family values? Yes, whose family values? Well, guess what? I bet you it's not going to be a bunch of your LGBTQ alphabet soup mafia family values. I don't know. Here's a thought. Maybe traditional Christian family values where you got a mommy and a daddy and they raise children together. I know. What a crazy concept. It's almost like it's worked throughout all of human history. I know. Weird, weird, weird. So, obviously, Texas has been lacking in this kind of thing. We haven't been covering it all that very well. We haven't been supporting a lot of stuff. And honestly, it's one of them situations where there's a lot of things about that. It's because there has been such a bias from certain segments of the population in Texas that don't want anything to do with Hollywood. Well, we saw what some of the Christian movies that were done in the 90s were. Not exactly blockbuster stuff. I don't know. Here's a strange concept. Maybe we should actually use some of the talent in Hollywood that actually does believe like us and incentivize them to make things in Texas. I know, strange concept. So the next steps are the Senate will review the two House amendments added to SB 22. If they agree, the bill will proceed to Governor Abbott for approval. HB 4568, proposing a larger $2.5 billion expansion of the Texas Movie Imaging Incentive Program, remains under House review. So we got to wait for that one. They might end up merging them on the laws, but if this is signed, it will make this go into effect September 1st. So we could see film productions, as soon as this is signed by the governor, which he has to sign it by like the end of May or June unless they extend out this session or whatever. But literally, if he signs this into law as quickly as it's passed, we could see productions getting planned out to start in September in Texas to take advantage of these deals. We could see stuff, we could see jobs and Texas, we can see jobs coming to Texas as soon as September, as soon as this fall when all of this stuff goes into work. And honestly, I've got some friends of mine that work in the film industry here in Texas, and they are going to be over the moon about this stuff, this kind of stuff. And they moved here long before a lot of the exoduses that happened in California. And as a guy that spent a lot of time with these people, they do represent your values. Not everyone in Hollywood is your enemy. Surprisingly enough, there are actually some people out there that have kept their heads very, very low that actually do believe in fundamental Judeo-Christian values that have literally helped create and shape Western civilization since the beginning of it when Christ died on the cross and resurrected. Boys and girls, this is the kind of thing we need to fix Hollywood, to fix media, to fix entertainment, to inject our values into them. Because we have seen what's happened when they've interjected California values into Marvel, into DC, into Pixar, into children's entertainment over and over and over and over again. It's been disgusting, it's been disturbing, and they have lost hundreds of billions of dollars. So yes, for the love of heaven, Texas is Congress. Pass this immediately, and let's maybe, just maybe, make Texas the new Hollywood. Because I, for one, want media and entertainment to get good again and represent good traditional values that my 6 kids can watch, learn, and love and grow up without being indoctrinated by the cult and the spirit of the age. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the smartest moves I have seen out of the Texas government in a very long time. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's make Hollywood great again by simply doing the smart thing and moving it to Texas. Because at the end of the day, we will get what we deserve. And what you incentivize, you get more of. More carrot and less stick.